Hello and welcome to another Rupal's Chatty Women. If you can, spend about the next 15 minutes with us. We're going to talk about various things on the programme today, including the costs of weddings. Are they getting way out of hand? Maybe you're going to a wedding this summer and you have particular expectations, or you know it's going to be a bigger and better one than you've ever seen before. Maybe you're one of these people that's organising one. I'd love to hear from you on that. Talking about children's parties as well. Is there more pressure on parents to make them bigger and better? We're going to be talking to two parents right here today. And we're going to be talking about the subject of periods and why periods are still considered unclean. So stick around. Leave your comments below. If you like what you hear, tick the emoticons because there's loads of them. We love the love hearts, I have to say, yes, and many more. But leave as many comments as you can and share this page too. So I'm going to let my guests introduce themselves. And one quirky or interesting fact about them that they forgot to mention earlier. So who are you?
Who am I? I'm Nita Cara, known by Rupal as Cara.
Indeed.
Yeah, just the surname. And a quirky fact about me, once a Bollywood superstar drove me to a hotel.
Wow, very nice.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes,
Yeah,
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
And you are?
I am Sandra Pollock, and the quirky thing about me is that I jumped off a bridge in Derbyshire many years ago, but I didn't only do it once, I did it twice.
And you survived to tell
I
the story.
survived to tell the tale, yes.
So I'm guessing we're talking about bungee jumping
we
here.
are, yes,
Just threw
yes.
herself off
Just
the
threw
bridge
myself
twice.
off a bridge, yeah, it felt like it.
Does the mystery voice want to say hello?
Hello!
There you go, that's the mystery voice. She is the voice that is going to read out your messages and your comments coming through. Lots of likes and lots of love hearts, please, across as well. So let's start on the topic of weddings. Wedding season is upon us, really, in full swing. We've actually got about 3 weddings to go to. I've missed one. And I didn't go to another, but there's 2 big ones that I'm really actually looking forward to, and I have to say they're both quite big. They're going to be extravagant, I think, in many ways. But from your point of view, both of you ladies, the cost of them, are they getting way out of hand, Needs?
I think, yeah. I think, to be fair, my personal view is, I love weddings. I love going to weddings. I love the whole family get-togethers, etc., and everything that goes with it. And I think it's down to the individual. If the individual has got the money and they want to spend it on a wedding, by entertaining everybody and feeding them, that's absolutely down to them. But they have got out of hand. It seems like they just get bigger, extravagant, and then and different themes, and coming by helicopter sometimes, But if they, I think it's down to the individuals. But one thing I do feel strongly about is, I think people at the moment, I don't know if it's more in the Asian culture, but the parents pay for the weddings, and I think people should pay for their own weddings. Why should parents be paying and forking out that kind of money?
Well, traditionally, Asian weddings are sort of, they've always been quite extravagant and bigger because they're, I'm guessing there's that thing of, the social scale and the sort of more money you have, the bigger the wedding has got to be. What's it like, Sandra?
In the West Indian culture, I think because we are a mix of different cultures, African and all sorts of different cultures, depending on where your roots are, and Barbadian culture, because we have this connection with the UK, a lot of people either go with the African or the English way of doing weddings. So you still have some families that think the parents should pay or contribute to the wedding, but then you have families that say absolutely not. They do their own thing. Now, having quite a bit of experience in the weddings category, I may have had 3.
May have had.
Oh, she's. I love that. May have had.
I may have had 3. I've had 3 weddings, and in the main, we paid for them ourselves. Well, we had contributions. My aunt, made my wedding dresses and stuff like that. The last wedding, we just went off to the Isle of Wight, us and the girls. that was it. But I think there is this passion for, if it's your first wedding, you want it to be, and everybody hopes that their first wedding will be their last wedding. So did I. It just didn't work out that way. So for that wedding, I think people you just want to make it the best thing. But the difficulty is that you spend so much time focusing on the wedding that you forget there's a marriage after that.
Absolutely.
So I think people just want to make sure that they've got some awesome stuff to look back on. You know, we have videos, we have
photographs,
photos, we have all sorts of things. So yeah, and if the marriage is good, then those things will add to it. But I don't think it has to be that expensive.
Yeah, and I think the main thing, I mean, certainly for me, is about the families coming together.
Absolutely.
You know, so you've got time to celebrate with your loved ones. So therefore, when you have all that, and especially in the Asian culture, that's why we have some of the sort of ceremonies leading up to it.
Yes.
You know, they all have a significance, of course. But it is about coming together with your family and having a good time and celebrating it. But I think.
But for you, was it kind of bigger the better, or was it kind of actually, this is how I've always dreamed my wedding's going to be, and you kind of stuck to that?
Yeah, I think it, not necessarily about bigger the better. I mean, my husband and I, we paid for our own wedding, and we had contributions, but that was really important to us that we paid for our own wedding, but there were certain things that I wanted.
Yes.
And I mean, it's been 20 years now.
Oh, very good.
So it's been quite a long time. So in those days, weddings used to be in a hall, especially Asian weddings in a hall, and the chairs were out, and then the stage, and everybody just talked all the way through it. And I didn't really want it like that. So I had the tables that you have tables now, So and then we had a reception because I wanted a party.
Yeah.
So so that was my wedding. But so I wanted specific things, but I wanted to have a good time as well.
Yeah.
We paid. I have to say, we paid for virtually everything apart from maybe the food and what have you. But ours was really quite simple. It was a registry office and a reception, a small reception in the evening. Sadly, it was on 7/7, so a lot of my colleagues who work in sort of the radio world weren't able to come to the wedding because there was lots going on. Yeah. But as far as for us, it was really important that we only invited those people that we wanted there, and we weren't going to spend money on people that we very rarely speak to or very rarely know.
Yes.
And it was wonderful. We loved it because it was a lot cheaper, but it was what we wanted, and it was with the people that we wanted.
And I think one of the things is that what I've observed is that where you have the parents or paying for or heavily contributing, then they want to bring the people that they want to bring, and that can sometimes cause conflict. Yeah. Because the people that are getting married saying, "Well, I don't know these people. Why should I have them on our day?" But the parents think, "Well, I'm paying for it. So I should. So
Have we had any comments, Mystery Voice?
No, but we have had lots of people join. So Chanda, Vyas, God's Hair.
Hey Gobs, hi Chanda.
Yeah. So we've had a few people.
Okay, look, any comments, any thoughts on the cost of weddings, and if you think they're getting way out of hand with themed wedding these days? People have drones, they've got to have a drone these days because they want to film everything. Are those kind of things necessary? I don't know. You tell me, you tell us. Leave your comments below.
Can I just quickly say that my stepdaughter is getting married?
Oh yes, of course, go on.
Next month, and her and her fiance they've paid for everything. And we keep saying, can we help? What help? No, just turn up and have a good time. Oh. That is awesome. I'm so looking forward to that. Yes. All
right, so weddings is one of the topics we're talking about today. Children's parties. I kind of wanted to talk about it because you're both parents. I'm not, but you're both parents, and I've got nieces and nephews, and I've grown up as a child and had parties. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about parties and whether there's actually a pressure on parents to make them bigger and better. I've heard from so many friends who've got children. Oh, it's I've got to organise a theme. It's got to be this, and they're going to the trampoline park. We've got 20 or 30 kids, and there's got to be some sort of theme. Whether it's taking if it's a girl, then taking them to a salon and treating everybody to something like that. Is there a pressure as a mum needs for you?
I don't feel the pressure myself. For me, it was more about what my son wanted, and he always wants to spend time with his friends, doing something, that he mostly likes, which is going to the cinema or, something to that effect, or bowling or something like that. So I didn't feel the pressure as such. Although I did do parties up until he was about 7, I think he was, and then after that I was like, yeah, that's enough. And then there's things about the party bags.
Yeah.
Right, now the party bag thing, right, so when I was doing the party bags, yeah, this is quite, yeah.
This is right up your shit, yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is, I didn't want to put rubbish in them, in the sense that my son doesn't eat sweets that much, etc., and you get party bags which are full of sweets, etc. So I thought, if I don't give that to my son, how can I put sweets in party bags and give it to other children? So that way, I do remember my husband saying that party bag's getting a bit out of hand, love. You need to tone it down, because I wasn't putting sweets and that kind of stuff in it. So so I have an issue with party bags, but I was pretty sort of relaxed about it. It's whatever my son wanted to do, really.
I think because obviously our girls are older now, so we don't tend to do the birthday party thing. But when my daughter was younger, there was a sense of pressure. There was a sense of pressure because everybody else was having a birthday party and the themes and all of that. But we did sit down and have a chat about what was necessary, what was affordable, what was sensible. And we also kept our numbers to the most I think she ever had was probably 10, but it's probably about 7 people. So you choose your best 7 friends, and that is the limit. And that helped us to help her to be more focused and sensible about what she wanted, and what we could afford to do. So over time that pressure changed.
Mystery voice.
Well, there's a message from Priti Joshi, and she says basically it's keeping up with the Joneses. I think she's talking about houses.
Weddings.
Okay.
Yes.
And she said, "What? Just put the money towards the deposit for a house."
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sensible.
Good.
Yes.
And we've got Lee who's saying, "Glad I caught the broadcast today. What are you talking about?"
Where have you been? So we've been talking about the cost of weddings and whether they're getting way out of hand. We're on the topic currently of kids' parties and whether there's a pressure on parents to make them bigger and better. Very, very quickly, I remember as a kid, birthday parties, and I think pretty much for us still, birthday party means families get together.
Absolutely.
We had a cake. You cut the cake. You had a bit of cake
and
a bit of food, and that was a birthday party.
Yes.
There was none of this, fancy themes or anything. What was it like for you,
Mine
Sandra?
was absolutely the same. It was the immediate family. It wasn't friends or if cousins were around, but it wasn't even cousins. It was just your immediate family. A bit of cake if you're lucky.
Yep.
Maybe a gift if you're lucky, and that was it.
Neat, what about you?
Yeah, very similar. I mean, I remember I did have a birthday where I was allowed to invite a couple of friends, which I did, my best friends, and my mum had done sandwiches, and she'd put cucumber in the sandwiches, bless her, and she'd done a cake, and then we had a disco. And we had party hats. So that was one of my memories where I felt really cool that it wasn't just the family. And I had a couple of my friends over and I had this party hat and the music was playing. We were all having a disco.
Brilliant. Love it. Keep your thoughts coming in about that. If you like what you hear, make sure you tick the emoticons. Let us know that you're watching. Tell us where you're watching from. And if you have just tuned in, this is Sandra Pollock, Nita Kara, and I'm Rupal Rajani. The final subject on the programme today: why are periods still considered unclean? Now, I wanted to talk about this because I was reading an article on the BBC News yesterday about women in Nepal and how they are banished to the shed, or the hut, because they're considered to be unclean, and quite often these women are treated basically like untouchables. Now, I know as a Hindu that it's a tradition that happens here also. I grew up with it. I grew up with, you can't go into the kitchen, you can't touch anything, you can't do this, you can't go to the temple. And I believe that it's similar in other religions, but I've always been really anti. I've never understood why a woman who's going through a menstrual cycle, why that is classed as unclean.
which is natural and normal, and there is no person on this earth that has not come into being through that natural process. So why it would be considered unclean and still so in this 21st century is unbelievable.
I think what we need to do, especially in our culture, in sort of the Hindu country, I think we need to examine where it's come from.
It's come from the laws of Manu, because there was this guy who codified what women were like, and he basically said that, you know, they're rubbish, they drink, they go out with men, they do all sorts of things, and there were loads of things he wrote in that weren't in Hinduism, where we actually acknowledged everything and said women are really important. He codified it, people liked what he wrote, and so it's carried on for centuries.
But I think I think also though there is something in our culture in the olden days. If you think about the role of a woman in the olden days, they were in the kitchen, they were doing a lot of the hard graft, and there is a part of our culture that at that time said that actually if a woman is on her period and acknowledge that actually there could be some pain involved, there could be, you know, physically not feeling very well, so that's why they were kept out of the kitchen, they were asked to rest. Now I think that's sort of it was twisted. So originally it came to absolutely, and that's why I feel quite strongly about it. And in fact, in terms of going to pray at the temple, etc., it's rubbish. It is absolutely rubbish. And I know people that are quite religious that will say, what's she talking about? You cannot go to the temple. Actually, no, that is a load of rubbish.
Religion is very much, it's a human construct. You cannot say that if something is natural, that it's wrong. How can you say that? That just doesn't make any sense.
And if it's a creation, if you are a creation of God, then being
how can it be unclean?
How can it be unclean, and how can it be wrong for a woman not to go, you know, into a temple or to pray? How does that change? If and when I'm on my period,
I mean,
you know.
the whole point about prayer, actually, you can pray anywhere. You don't need to be in a temple. No,
absolutely.
No tomatoes. But prayer is a life position. Really, you don't need to go. It helps to be with other people. That strengthens your interpretation of it. But as a woman, at any time you can pray.
It's a personal thing, isn't it?
But it's not just that. It's also sort of, you know, other religious events like Navratri, for instance, in the Hindu community. And I know that this is not just seen in the Hindu community.
No,
also,
there are
is in other
cultures and that sort of stuff that have these issues.
Absolutely, Mystery Voice.
Okay, Nidhi Rupal Joshi says it goes back to historical Ayurvedic times, way before period pads, tampons, women would use cloths to stem the flow and would potentially drip, so were asked to stay indoors. Which is much.
You can understand.
Yeah, you can understand that one.
But does it? In this day and age, is it acceptable, do you think, that women are banished from...
To be banished is to be set out from your family, your culture, and can you imagine the psychological turmoil that women go through, you know, thinking themselves to be unworthy and unclean.
But I think in those days that was also part of it as well, wasn't it? I mean, women were suppressed for such a long time, so there was also part of that. But I think the other thing is, personally, if you know, because it's not very pleasant when you're on your period, is it? I mean, you know, some people get quite unwell with it, and so personally, if you don't feel comfortable doing anything religious, etc., you know, from a cleanliness point of view, that, you know, that's your personal choice. But to actually, but to actually be told that you can't do this and can't do that, then you know, I think that.
So would you go into a place of worship?
I personally, if I'm going through a point where I'm feeling uncomfortable physically, then no, I won't.
But otherwise,
yes, yes, I do actually.
And I have.
I have to admit, I've kind of kept up with the rules and have obeyed.
But it's only in the past few years, Rupal, that I've done that.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you? You can leave your comments. Any last thoughts from Mystery Voice? Have we had any last comments on this?
We have, like Prithya, Rupal and Nidhi have both said that to be banished is wrong. So And then, Jamie, sorry, I've just joined you.
Jamie, it's okay. You can watch it back later and leave your comments on this subject. I know it's something that she's quite passionate about as well. So apologies that you didn't get to add your comments on this. But look, thank you for your time. You can watch this back and leave all your comments on the page. You feel free, please, to share it with as many people as possible. And make sure you join me again in a couple of Sundays' time for another Rupal's Chatty Women. In the meantime, thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Kate. And thank you, Mystery Voice. Bye.